So the NFL schedule is out. It came out on Wednesday, and both Chris and we got the Bears going undefeated this year. No. That's our dream, man, to go undefeated for an undefeated season. No. We're gonna break the schedule down. We're gonna go what we think are gonna be tough games, what games we think what we think is gonna be best for the Bears in this season, and that is coming up next on the Chicago Sports Podcast.
Let's go. Yo. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
Well, hello and welcome in tonight. It is Bears on Tracks presented and brought to you by the Chicago Sports Podcast 5 for Chicago. It is great to have you guys with us tonight as we're talking about the Bears. We're talking about the schedule release, which just came out on Wednesday. It's always a fun time of the year, Chris. And I got my buddy Chris, like James Brown. He's here to help me break everything down tonight. He's always got lots of Bears opinions. Chris, it's always good to see you, my friend.
Likewise, brother. Every time we get to talk football, it's always a wonderful time, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, there's never a bad time to talk about football. Never a bad time to talk about the Bears and the schedule. And that's what we're going to go over today, guys. We're going to go game by game. Give us our thoughts. You can give us your thoughts, what you think about the schedule and how it shapes up for the Bears this season. And while you're at it, make sure you like and subscribe on our YouTube page, and you'll get the notifications popping up whenever we have a new show come on. We have shows coming on all the time. And you can share this video with all of your other Bears friends and get them involved, what they think of the schedule this year. And if you agree or disagree with what Chris and I are about to go over here as we're about to dive into it. And I guess right off the bat, Chris, just overall thoughts. I'm going to give you mine here in just a second, but overall thoughts on the schedule release, maybe the schedule release in general, and what kind of caught your attention?
What caught my attention was the two divisional games right off the bat, and also where the bye is. Also, it's in that middle of the pack part of the schedule where if you got a couple guys nicked up, you can heal up real quick. But also, it also provides a space where it's like after the first quarter of the schedule, okay, we can see where we're at. We know we can fine tune, and if they get off into a hot start, they can actually add some more into it. But that would imply they would have to lock in from game one. So I mean, the bye is in a good spot. I wish it was like a week or two after, but anywhere between, I would say, week 5 and week 10, I like that's a good position right there.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And we're going to go over that. You know what I don't like about this? Listen, I love the schedule release. I was actually at the White Sox-Reds game in Cincinnati on a Wednesday night when it came out. So I was out there watching the White Sox, and I just kept looking at my phone all the way leading up to 8 o'clock to see the full schedule. And I'm like, oh, man, I can't wait for this. I think a lot of us were doing that. What I don't like about the schedule release in general is how they leak games out before that. I was like, if you're just going to release a schedule, I guess unless there's a couple of primetime games you want to put out there, but for the most part, I'm like, okay, I feel like I've already gotten 8 or 9 of the Bears games even before the schedule release came out that night. I'm like, so what's the whole point of getting so excited about a full schedule release? Maybe I'm just nitpicking, Chris, but that's the only thing I don't like about that.
I totally understand that, because it's just like you already gave us all the teams. If you're going to do a schedule release, don't tell us who the teams we're going to be facing that year. Just drop it all as like one press release, like you know what I'm saying? And it does kind of take some of the excitement out of it, because you already know who the teams you're playing. It's like now we got to know where the games are slotted for the year. And even based off of win-loss records, some of those games could change in time. So it's kind of like, okay, I already know what I'm getting for Christmas. I just want to know what wrapping paper you're putting it in. It's that type of thing.
Yeah, listen, we all knew what was going to happen. Like, I knew the Chiefs were going to get, like 8 or 9 primetime games. Like, whatever all the really good teams, the Eagles, like, they're going to get the good games. We all know that. And I feel like if you're going to put some of that out, that's fine. But as far as the entire schedule goes, I'm like, all right, the stop with the leaks, and let's just get the whole freaking thing out so we so we could just have it. I don't know. You guys can let me know what you think too in the chat. Maybe I'm just nitpicking. Maybe it's just me in one of those moods tonight, Chris. But I'll clearly step out of that. Thank you guys for watching tonight. You can share this video with your friends, and we're about ready to break down the Bears 2025 regular season schedule. We'll go game by game, and Chris, we're going to start off with Week 1. I love the fact that it's a Monday night game, and it's been a long time since we've had that, and a divisional game. The Vikings coming to Chicago Monday Night Football, September 8th. We're going to get the J.J. McCarthy experience. Well, I think we're going to get the J.J. McCarthy experience for the Vikings, and I think this is a great matchup. A great matchup for Ben Johnson as he can get his win for the first to be the get a win as a Bears head coach. And even for an environment like that, it's going to be really tough for a rookie quarterback to come in on the first week of the season, even though I do think the Vikings have a very, very solid team. They made a lot of free agent signings in the offseason. They boosted up their offensive line. Their defense looks a lot better. They got some playmakers up front with Hargrave, the signing of him. And Jonathan Allen is another big signing they had. So I think their defense is actually going to be better this year than last year because I feel like Flores has got the pieces he's looking for. But it's going to be that Flores-Johnson matchup we're going to be looking for. But I think this one could very well favor the Bears, especially playing at home.
Oh, especially because when you look at the Lions against the Vikings last year, you see the results, and also on top of that, Ben Johnson as a play caller, he's faced a Brian Flores defense. Well, the thing about it is that I'm concerned about with the Vikings. Well, not really concerned. I want to see this. I think that this is an actual vantage point. Is that safety spot? They lost Bynum, who was one of their best guys at getting picks within that secondary. So that's the thing I want to look at. Even though they beefed up the defensive line, if we've also beefed up our offensive line as well. So that could be a week 1 test to see, just give a taste of where we're at when it comes to that offensive line. I honestly think we could probably take advantage of that secondary because of the simple fact that look at the history with Ben Johnson versus a Brian Flores defense.
Yeah, Ken Bynum's the one we're thinking of that they lost in the offs. Big loss. He went to the Colts, and I think that's going to make the Colts a little bit better in their secondary. So I feel like this is a win for the Bears on Monday Night. Do I think it's going to be tough? Of course I do, but I think this is definitely a game they can win, Chris.
So I think it's gonna be one of those Monday night games worth to remember. We're gonna see the strengths and the weaknesses of the defense. We're gonna see how this Ben Johnson offense, what he's gonna put on the field. We know there's gonna be a little bit of hiccups because it's week 1, but I honestly think it's gonna be a hard fought game. I feel we're gonna eke out with the victory. I would say I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 28-23 type of game.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's what it's going to be too, especially the first week. A new offense for the Bears, trying to get everything in, trying to get everything adjusted. So yeah, I think we both agree on that one. We could see that one as a victory. I like how we go into week number 2 as well, Chris, right into Detroit at the Lions, where I think that's going to be a very tough environment. I thought they were going to make that I don't know. I kind of thought that was going to be a primetime game, maybe a Sunday night football game. But I guess they got the Monday Night Football the week before, and I know the Lions have, I think, the Packers the week before in an afternoon game. So I guess that's maybe the reasoning why they made this a noon game for the Ben Johnson return to Detroit. I just think that's going to be a very tough environment for the Bears, very tough for them to go into. Although we play the Lions very tough, and we did last year, I just don't know about this game. I think this is a game where they go in and the Lions take care of the business like they should at home, and this is going to be their first home game of the year. The coordinator positions are going to be a little bit weird to see. It's going to be interesting to see how the Lions adjust to the new coordinators that they have. But they have a lot of their great players coming back, and a lot of their players are coming back healthy. I still think they're going to be a very, very good team. Are they going to maybe fall off a little bit? Maybe. But I still think this is a very, very good team going into Detroit.
I honestly see this as a close game. I see this as a game we can honestly win. I mean, when you look at that roster for Detroit, it is for a level of star-studded roster, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and they're getting Aiden Hutchinson back. What my concern is, what I'm concerned about Aiden Hutchinson. That is my main concern. How is he going to be coming back? Everyone saw the horrific injury he suffered last year, and I'm concerned about is he going to be a game wrecker like it was prior to. But I honestly think this is one we could probably handle that. I think the Lions probably dropped this one. I mean, with the Ben Johnson as their offensive coordinator, we still played a hard-fought game, and they had Aaron Glenn as their defensive coordinator. So I think it's going to be a chess match, and we're going to see which play callers are better on both sides of the ball, because we also have a Dennis Allen, and they also have two coordinators that they elevated within their coaching staff. So that's going to be different play calling, different styles of play calling, and it's going to be one of those games where we're going to see what they're bringing to the table as far as like how to defend our offense and how to try to put up points against our attacking defense. So I honestly think this is probably going to be one of those games where it's like it could be changing of the guard type of game, because if we able to beat the Lions and if we make it convincing, I would say about probably two scores. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying an if. It's an if, but it could be looking like a changing of the guard type of moment for the NFC North.
You know what's going to be interesting about the Lions this year is that I know they were really hurt going into the playoffs last year, but that taste they have in their mouth from going out the way they did last year. And I wonder what that's going to do to that team this year and how Dan Campbell and his guys respond to that. So that's going to be a storyline for me that I'm going to be interested all year round, because I still do think they're one of the top 5 best teams in the NFC. And I think we're going to be competitive with them. But this is a game I just don't have. I think we could beat them, yes, but I have the Lions winning in this one for week number 2 in Detroit. How about this? For week number 3, the Cowboys come to Soldier Field. The Matt Eberflus return game right off the bat, man. Right in the first couple of weeks of the season. They got a new head coach, the Dallas Cowboys, Brad Schottenheimer. Dak Prescott is coming back. It looks like he's going to be healthy. They just made a trade for George Pickens. I don't know what they're going to get out of George Pickens. I watch him every Steeler game. Some games he's great. Some games he's out of the game. I don't know what he is. I really don't. I have no idea what he is. I think he could be better though with a better quarterback in place and another great receiver that's on the other side of him. I think that's going to really help him a lot. And it's always weird for me when you have a team like the Cowboys and you have a whole new coaching staff that takes over. Are they going to take a step back? Are they going to just be kind of complacent at where they at, or do they take that next step? Because they got a ton of talent on that team. And the one thing I will say about Matt Eberflus, I feel like he also has some of the right players to run his defense on that defense. He can call a defense. We all saw that and what he can do there. So it's an interesting game for me and what they can do. But I think this is a game they can certainly win, especially at home.
I got the Bears winning that one. Um, and the reason being is because, well, even though it's a star-studded roster, it's just Eberflus's style of defense is more depending on the defensive line getting pressure, and the corners and linebackers sitting in the zone. So when you look at the pieces they have that are on that defense, a lot of those guys are really aggressive. So like a Diggs, he's really aggressive as well. So I just it depends on what Ben Johnson drafts up as far as like a play calling, how he attacks the corners, the linebackers, and we'll see from there. But here's the key thing about it is, can the Cowboys stop the run? We saw them last year. It was every time if you went against a team that had a power run game, it was like big brother picking on the little brother. So I mean, if they can stop the run this year, I see them as a formidable foe. But if they cannot, then I see yes, we could take off on this game. I honestly, like, not the week off, but like take off on the scoreboard, just because of the simple fact that when you run the ball, you eat up the clock. You can limit possessions for the opposing offense, and that means that Dak Prescott would have to be perfect that game, which for a lot of quarterbacks, it's highly unlikely that can happen. So, I honestly think we could take that one too.
Yeah, I think that's a win too. You know, it's going to be interesting watching the Cowboys this year. A motivated Michael Parsons. I don't know what type of contract he's going to get, or if the Cowboys are going to give him a contract extension. That guy is a hell of a player. And I mean, everything it looks like he's ready to go. And whenever you have that type of motivation in you, I always feel like that's that extra edge that you have. And I mean, not that that guy needs it, because he's one of the best in the league. And I love watching that guy play. It's going to be fun watching him. It's going to be fun how the offense attacks somebody like that, a superstar player. And he could absolutely be the X factor in that game, and especially early in the season if he's playing healthy.
Micah Parsons, the thing what we've seen throughout the league is the way you can nullify a guy like that is to run right at him and get him tired. And we've seen that in a lot of their postseason performances. But I honestly think Eberflus is probably going to try to mix it up to move him around. And our offense is going to have to be mindful of that, and probably just call it the right way, or try to, just see a pattern to see if they can just like, outmaneuver the Cowboys as far as like where is Micah Parsons going to be on the field.
And that's going to be a game I'm excited to watch. And that, by the way, that's going to be a 3:20. Now, this is Central Time. I'm giving the game times here in Central Time. The Lions, we talked, that was a noon game. This Cowboys game is slated for a 3:25 game for week number 3. As we're talking about the Bears schedule, thank you guys. I see you guys all in the chat. I see the Honey Bear in there. I see James Childress in there. Thank you guys so much for watching tonight. You can share this video with your friends too. All your diehard Bears friends, tell them here about Bears on Tracks, the Chicago Sports Podcast, 5 for Chicago. Thank you guys for watching. This brings us now to week number 4 at Las Vegas Raiders. Another 3:20 back-to-back weeks for a 3:25 start. Las Vegas is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be all Bears fans at that game. The Bears fans are probably going to take over that stadium. The Raiders are going to be an interesting team. I think they're going to be a better team this year. I think they're going to be better with Pete Carroll. I think Geno Smith is I'm not going to call him one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but he's a solid quarterback. He can play the position. I think Genty was a great draft pick for them. He's going to help them out a lot. And I think another thing that you think about the Raiders that nobody talks about a lot is they kept their defensive coordinator, who's been there for a couple of years. Patrick Graham is a defensive coordinator. He was there for Josh McDaniels, then for Antonio Pierce last year, and now they kept him on here for Pete Carroll. And that cohesiveness, staying with that defense has played pretty well for them, especially as him as the defensive coordinator there. And he's got some healthy guys. Landon Roberts from the Steelers has gone over there now, so they picked up a couple of players. So I think this is an interesting one on the road. It's going to be a tough game on the road, and I think it's going to be all Bears fans, but I think this is definitely a game that they can win. But I could see this game as one of those games that why would you lose this game, and that could be a game they lose. But I'm more leaning towards a win on this one, Chris.
I'm the opposite here. I honestly think this may be a trap game just because of the simple fact you don't know what you're getting from a Pete Carroll offense in Las Vegas. I mean, you bring in Geno Smith, and when you look at the offense where Geno Smith was in, if they have a good run game, it's kind of tough to it's kind of tough to key on him as a quarterback. So they have to stop the run first, and then when you look at that defense with Max Crosby, they played well last year, even though Christian Wilkins was out. So I mean,
he's back
exactly,
too.
And then like even though they lost Spillane, they also gained Landon Roberts, who's actually pretty good at when it comes to the run game. It's one of those things where it's like we could fall for the trap, especially if we pull off a 3-game win streak off the rip. Sometimes some teams get too high on themselves and they fall to a team they ain't got no business falling to. So I see this one as a trap game, especially going into the bye. It just everything right there just shows like this is a trap. Like you gotta be on your best game on that particular day, especially since we don't know how they're gonna unleash Ashton Genty. So that's another thing you got to worry about.
I'm excited to watch him too. I'm excited to watch him play the Bears. I'm excited to watch him up close to see that dynamic and see what type of. I'm just excited to see the way they use him and to see him play in the NFL. So that's going to be a fun game to watch. There's going to be a ton of Bears fans at that game. Like I said, a lot of people. I already saw like people posting on X that we already planned the Las Vegas trip, which that's going to always be the trip people are going to find and go to. And that's an awesome place. I've been out there to that stadium, man. It's a really cool stadium. So. This will bring us to the bye week, which is week 5. Chris, I know you talked a little bit about that at the beginning of the show. I do kind of like it in this spot because it can kind of give you a reset a little bit, especially if you're just like a guy like Caleb trying to grab the offense and the team in general with all new coaching staff. Maybe this is a good way to reset if they're 2-2, or as of right now, I think I would have them at 3-1. But I do like the bye week at this spot.
Oh, same here, because it's after the first quarter of the season. You get an idea of what works for your offense, what doesn't work for your offense, certain things you can use, certain things you can't use. And this is the time where you can fine tune everything so you can get rolling after the bye. And then when you look at this schedule, and especially with some of the teams that we play after, it is one of those, it's actually at a perfect time, because not only do you get a look at how your offense and defense is as far as the division is concerned. You also get an actual look of how it is against other teams as well within the NFL.
Yeah, I agree. And that's going to be a good day to watch the Red Zone channel, which I watch the Red Zone channel every Sunday too, no matter what. We're talking about the Bears schedule here, and this brings us to week 6, and I'm excited for this one because they're going to be back to Washington on a Monday night football game. And this is going to be the revenge game. This is going to be the revenge from the Hail Mary game. And there's no question in my mind, with that being the Hail Mary game, they did everything they could to set it right back to Washington, right on prime time, to see what could happen between Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. Even going into that draft that year, I thought Williams and Daniels were the two best quarterbacks going into that. I said 1A and 1B on both of them. I was like, both of these guys can be very, very good in the NFL. And so far, I mean, Jaden Daniels had a great year last year, and we think Caleb Williams is going to take that next step. But this is something of a rival that I think this is the start of a new rival, especially with the two young quarterbacks, and I'm really excited to watch. And Washington got a lot better this offseason, especially on offense. They really bolstered their offensive line. That's the key to keep in mind here for the Washington Commanders is they drafted a tackle. They signed Larry Tunsil, made the trade for Larry Tunsil, and then they got Deebo Samuel as well to have that speed threat. And I just think with them bolstering up that offensive line, I think that's going to make them even more dangerous of a team and a better team at that, because they have a great offensive coordinator like we have too.
I honestly agree. If any game I could see them dropping this game, it's more possible than what I've seen from the other ones in the schedule. Just simply because when you have a Jaden Daniels and then you have a Deebo Samuels, both of those, especially Deebo Samuels, what Deebo Samuels does to an offense is he forces the defense to have to account for every blade of grass on the field just because of the multiple ways you can use him. And on top of that, they got better offensively. I want to see how Washington's defense is going to be able, if they're able to contain the offense that we have, especially all the firepower and the play calling that we're gonna bring in. We're gonna run the ball. We're gonna get multiple guys like their touches and everything like that. So I want to see how that game goes. But if anything, I do see them dropping this one just because of the fact that I honestly see it going up like for a lot of points, just for the simple fact that Washington's offense is going to be stressing the defense in multiple ways. Jaden Daniels knows when to use his legs. He also has a certain command of the offense. And then with a Deebo Samuels, you add that, and then you add Laramie Tunsil defending his blind side. It doesn't really look good as far as like any defense has to face them at this point.
There's a couple of under the radar things with Washington that I think you want to keep in mind too. They brought back Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner, two veterans that were a huge presence on that team last year. If you see any of the interviews, Bobby Wagner, who's been in the league for a long time, a great player, great linebacker, but he was that veteran presence on that defense for a lot of young players that put him in the right positions and put that leadership and attack that they were looking for. Zach Ertz, the same thing, and he had a good year last year. I felt like he had a really good year for a guy that I feel like was going there. You didn't expect much from, but bringing those two guys back, you never realize this, but when you bring back veterans like that, they have that veteran presence, I think that goes a long way, and that can make your team even better than from the year before.
On top of that, they both Super Bowl champions. So they also know the recipe needed for you to make a deep playoff run, if not get to a Super Bowl. So it's real pivotal, especially for the defensive side of the ball, because they're really young in a lot of places. So when you have a guy like Bobby Wagner, he knows what it takes and how defenses should execute in order to be successful in the league. And the Zach Ertz, he knows where he's a quarterback's best friend. He's been in this league for a long time, so he knows in certain coverages where he needs to be when a play breaks down, where to be in order to help his quarterback out. So that's why I'm saying this game seems like one I want more likely we could drop, just because of the fact that they have veteran leadership on both sides of the ball. They got better on offense, and then on top of that, on defense, we've seen them late in the season. Even though offense has put up a lot of points in certain games, they got better and better, especially in the postseason.
Great coaching on that team too. Yeah, to your point too, great coaching with Dan Quinn. Cliff Kingsbury, who I feel like will be a head coach in the NFL sometime soon. So, yeah, I have them not winning this game against the Washington Commanders, but I think that's going to make it for a very good rival for Monday Night Football. Hey, thank you guys for watching tonight here on Bears on Tracks 5-4 Chicago Sports Podcast. We appreciate it. You can like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Get those notifications popping up for brand new shows. We're talking about the Bears schedule. The schedule release, which came out on Wednesday, that brings us now, Chris, to Week 7. And this starts, and we were just talking a little bit about this before we jumped on the show tonight, the start of 6 straight noon kickoff in a row, and which I feel like is you either love the noon kickoffs or you hate them. I like the late afternoon games. Those are my favorite games. And the late afternoon games can get a lot of stuff done earlier in the day, but the noon games are great too. The first one is versus the Saints. I don't think the Saints are going to be very, very good this year. I mean, I like Kellen Moore. I think Kellen Moore's a good coach. It's going to be interesting to see how he does as a head coach. The question for them is who's going to be playing quarterback. They drafted a rookie quarterback in the second round, Tyler from Louisville, who I actually was a fan of his coming out. But I'll be honest with you, Chris. I have no idea how his game's going to translate in the NFL. They still have some of their veterans left on that team. They brought some of their veterans back, but this is kind of a transition, right? You know what this kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of when Kevin O'Connell went to the Vikings, where you still had some of those veteran presence on that first year of the team, and then you slowly start turning over the roster. I feel like that's what the Saints are about to do. They have a year left of some of these guys coming back, but it's a transition year, and I don't know. I don't see them winning more than 5 or 6 games. I think this is a game that Bears absolutely win.
I honestly seeing the Saints getting the number 1 overall pick in next year's draft, just because of there's 2 big things. One, they have players that are a lot of them may be past their prime, and then also on top of that, you don't know who their quarterback is. It could be Spencer Rattler, could be Tyler Show. I'm leaning more towards a Spencer Rattler at this particular time because of the fact that he's had that year. Like, even though a lot of people feel he hasn't won all their games, but when you look at the film outside of the Buccaneers game, he's put them in the position to be successful. They just didn't execute. So I do see it can be a Spencer Rattler just because of that. And he has that 1 year in the league, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go to Tyler Show around that time. But when you look at their organization right now, it's a recipe for disaster. They have aging players, but they're like way above the salary cap as far as contracts. So it's not there wasn't a lot of wiggle room for them this offseason to make a lot of moves that they needed. So I do see them I do see the Bears like just running over them. They have to stop the run though, because Alvin Kamara, he can have a wild game. We've seen him, throughout his career. One game have a 6 touchdown game. So they have to stop Alvin Kamara, and they have to stop the deep ball with Shaheen. And I think once they do that, they can call that a dub.
Yeah, I think that for me. I agree. I think for both of us, we can agree that's a win for the Bears. Soldier Field, Week 7. That brings us to week. Now, this is where it gets a little difficult here. This is a stretch now where I think it could be very tough for the Bears. For Week 8 at Baltimore, that's also a noon kickoff. Baltimore, you think is going to be one of the 5, 6, 7 best teams in the AFC this year, depending on health. I guess it all depends on their health too. But Lamar Jackson played at an MVP level last year. Derrick Henry, he just got extended, man. He just got just got his deal reworked. I think they improved on defense as well, especially. They made no bones about it, man. They went right in the draft, and they went right after their secondary and drafted a couple of players to put in the back to match up with Kyle Hamilton, who's very, very good safety for them. And it's also the Roquan Smith game, the Roquan Smith revenge game, you could call it. And Roquan Smith's been incredible. I know he started off a little bit slow last year, but he's been great for them. He's been really, really freaking good. Every time I watch him play, man, he's making plays all over the field like he was for the Bears. So they're a good defensive team. Lamar Jackson's an MVP. They got a great head coach. This in Baltimore, boy, man, I don't have a good feeling about this game.
I will say, depending on the outcome, this is the game that shows where the Bears are this year. Win or lose, this game shows where we're at this year, just because of the simple fact that you are dealing with 2 players in the backfield that are ultimate nightmares for any defensive coordinator. You're talking about a Derrick Henry that if he gets rolling, he can take what looks like a 2 to 3 yard gain, stiff arm somebody, and he's hitting his head on the goalpost. You have a Lamar Jackson, very dynamic, can buy time in the backfield with his athleticism and find guys open and make throws. And then on top of that, you have a Zay Flowers. You have Rashad Bateman that seemed last year to be on the same page, almost had 1,000 yards receiving. Then you got Isaiah Likely, Andrews, and then the defensive side of the ball, which was the problem, was the safety position. They drafted a guy who started all throughout his college career. So this game will show the grit, the fight, and the level of physicality that the Bears possess, just because of the fact that when you look at a Baltimore Ravens game, one thing is you got to be physical, and you got to be able to grind and run through a person's face. So going against them, I could see them dropping this game, but I feel like how they play, if it's a tight game or we eke this out and win this game, I think this is one of those where it's like, we're here. This is who we are. I feel that this is the most pivotal point for them in the season.
You make up some really good points, Chris. I agree with you on that too, that this is a pivotal game and this will determine what type of team that we are. I'll say this too about Baltimore. My girlfriend, the diehard Steelers fan, we went to a game there for. Now I know it's Ravens Steelers. Their fan bases hate each other more than anything, and I'll say this about Baltimore, man. That was a hostile environment, dude. I guess I wasn't expecting that. I guess I should be expecting that, but I wasn't expecting that. But I walked in there, I'm like, whoa, man, these guys are nuts, man. These guys are crazy. They're really into the Ravens, and that's going to be a home field advantage, man. That's a huge – I never realized what a home field advantage they have when they play there, and it is, dude, when you go there. So it'll be interesting to see how our fan base turns out because our fan base travels very well. We were just talking about that for the Vegas Raiders game, that there are going to be a lot of Bears fans there. But, boy, this is a fan base, man, that it's going to be a brutal one. So that's going to be week number 8 for the Ravens. That's October 26th. And then right after that, it doesn't get much easier because we go to Cincinnati after that to play the Bengals. The Bengals are going to be an interesting team for me this year. They got a little bit of drama going on right now with Trey Hendrickson. And, I mean, he was speaking out pretty much against them, pretty much saying that – listen, he never said he'd get me out of there, but it was pretty much saying, get me out of here. I'm done with the way these people have treated me here, the front office and stuff. He had nothing but praise for the head coach. I know that. And the Bengals are always an interesting team to me because they always start the year off slow. The last couple of years, they started off slow, and I know the injuries probably had something to do with it, but this is usually about the time, this part of the season, where they get right. And there's something that just clicks. I don't know what it is, but it's something with Joe Burrow, and he finds his groove, and he's going to have some weapons with him. I mean, he's still going to have Higgins and Chase on each side of the ball. Gesicki's back as their tight end. They got some weapons on that team. It's going to be to see how their offensive line plays. They got a new defensive coordinator this year, too. And it'll be interesting to see how they place some of their players on the defense and what type of schemes they run. I don't like this one either. I don't like this matchup. I think this is going to be very tough. Going into the jungle, man, that's a hard place to play, especially when the Bengals are good. It's loud in there. It's a lot of. It's not as chaotic as Baltimore, but it's still a pretty favorable home field advantage. But I still think there'll be a decent amount of Bears fans there. Let's say you, Chris.
I say this game's going to be either one for the books or it can be a blowout. And that depends on how Cincinnati is offensively. I honestly think the Bengals defense is too young. You're bringing in a new defensive coordinator. One of your best player on defense, you're having an issue with when it comes to a contract. So it just seems like it's going to be a game where there's going to be a lot of points scored. I agree with you that, the Bengals, once they hit about week 5 or week 6, that's when their offense kind of, whatever it is, it's like they know what gets the engine running and they just start going 100 miles an hour. I honestly think with this one, because of how our defense, we got to see how the Bengals offensive line is this year. They showed a level of improvement last year. I honestly think we could win this one. It's going to most likely be a high scoring game. I honestly think that because they have Jamar Chase, they have Joe Burrow, they have T. Higgins, they have Mike Gesicki. It just spells a matchup where it's like offense, you got to carry the load this game, or if the defense is able to get some stops, I think we could win this one. I got them taking this one.
I got them losing this one. I'll say this: when you watch the Bengals, when Joe Burrow is on, he's the best quarterback in the league to me. I think he's the best quarterback in the league. When he's on and he's accurate, that team can score. They're fast. And then when they're not on and you get pressure, see, that's the key, is they're going to have to get pressure on him. And that's why I said it. The offensive line has been iffy for the Bengals the last couple of years. We're going to see how they mess again this year. But that's kind of what their Achilles heel has been, and as well as some of the playmakers on defense that they've lost. So it's going to be an interesting game to watch at Cincinnati, which November 2nd, it's start getting cold. The weather starts turning a little bit. I'm excited that we're playing the Ravens and Bengals at back-to-back weeks. I think that's cool. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And it's going to be a very good test for the Bears. So our next noon game is going to be Week 10 against the Giants, and kind of like the Saints, Chris. I don't think the Giants are going to be very good this year. I don't even know who the quarterback's going to be by this time. I don't think Russell Wilson's going to be playing by this point. I think Russell Wilson will start the years. I don't think he'll finish. I think at some point Jackson Dart's going to go in there. whether it's, I don't think Jameis Winston will be there. Don't forget they got Jameis Winston they signed
Yeah,
too.
they did. They signed him.
But I think by this point, I think they really want to get a look at what Jackson Dart at some point of this season. Jackson Dart's going to be what they want to look at, unless Russell Wilson has some type of resurgence. I don't think that's going to happen. I still think this team has a lot of holes. The New York Giants, they do have one of the best receivers in the league, though, man. If you want to talk about watching a guy that's a playmaker, man, they certainly got him.
I honestly, when it comes to the Giants, one guy kind of stands out to me, and I think people need to watch out for is he's a receiver. Don't get me wrong, Malik Neighbors is their number one. That's automatic. But I just think that you want to watch out for a guy like a Jalen Hyatt. And the reason why is
Yes.
Russell Wilson loves throwing the deep ball. So when you see a guy like that has speed, 4.3, 4.4 speed, like a Calvin Austin that was in Pittsburgh, you see those moments where he throws the ball deep and gives that speed to that chance. So I honestly think this is probably I wouldn't be surprised if it's a defensive battle. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying that our offense won't be up for the matchup, but I honestly think they have one of the most fiercest pass rushers in my opinion, because you got Brian Burns, you got Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, and then they drafted Abdul Carter. So they can use all four of those guys in multiple ways. And Dexter Lawrence eats up two blockers really, real quick. So it just those type of things are those type of things can be an Achilles heel to us, because we forming an offensive line. We got a new scheme coming in. By that time, we'll hit our stride. But against that type of pressure, it's gonna be one of those things where we're gonna see how Caleb faces that type of pressure, and how that offensive line if that offensive line can hold them at bay. Because when you look at the Giants in all their games last season, the biggest concern, and it was evident, was that defensive line, was that front seven, that pass rush. So I want to see how that turns out. If we're able to block them, I believe we could run away with it. But if we can't hold up, it's going to be a long day, and we're going to have to ask for the defense to carry the load.
You bring up Abdul Carter. I'm excited to watch him. He's another one. Man, we get to see some of these draft picks, some of the first 5-6 round draft picks right in the first few weeks of the season, man. Abdul Carter's another one that I'm excited to watch this year to see if that guy's going to be a beast or not. Brian Burns, you make a good point, too, about their defensive line. Brian Burns had a really good year for the Giants last year, too. There wasn't a lot of good highlights for the Giants last year, but he was one of them. That ended up being a very good trade for them. So, yeah, that's going to be a very good defensive matchup for our team. That's going to be a good one for Caleb Williams to learn from. But I still have them winning that game, and that game is also at home, Week 10, a noon start. The next one after that is at the Vikings. That is Week 11, November 16th, a noon start, which I think is going to be a very tough game. Now, I feel like by this point, the Vikings are going to be the Vikings. I feel like Kevin O'Connell is going to have his offense in place. J.J. McCarthy is going to be a little bit more comfortable. If we think this is what J.J. McCarthy is going to be, I think he's going to be a pretty good player. And I'm not going to – I was a big fan of him coming out of college. I thought he was better than what some people were thinking. I thought he was going to be probably first-round pick. But I'm not going to put anything past Kevin O'Connell at this point. This guy's put in quarterbacks in place that I never thought were going to succeed. So there's no question to me that I'm not going to sit here and say, well, J.J. McCarthy's not going to succeed. Well, Kevin O'Connell's track record is he puts these quarterbacks in position to do that. So I think he will. I think they upgraded on their offensive line this offseason. They took a couple of guys from the Colts. I thought those were good signings. And they got weapons all over the place. They brought Aaron Jones back as the running back. And they're going to be playing in Minneapolis, which is another hostile environment. I think this is going to be a tough game for the Bears to win. I have the Vikings in this one. What about
I got the Vikings in this one. I think we're gonna split it. Just for the simple fact that when you bring up Kevin McConnell, the guy's a QB whisperer. I gotta call a spade a spade. I mean, he had Josh Dobbs, he had Nick Mullins, he had Kirk Cousins, he had Sam Darnold. He coached Sam Darnold to $100 million contract. Like let's think about that for a minute. Before he got there, and everyone thought Sam Darnold was going to be the quarterback, everyone was like, "Well, Minnesota, better luck next year." And then they go and they have a double-digit win season and go to the playoffs. So I think that he can get the best out of their quarterback that they have now. It's just I think they're going to run the ball more. That's what I think, just to get that get him comfortable, get J.J. McCarthy comfortable. But I think during that part of the season, I honestly see them trying to let him loose because he'll have a better understanding of how the game is now because of that knee injury, because he missed time with that knee injury last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if they drop this game. I see the Vikings eking this one out. I think it'd be the opposite way around, 23-28 type of deal. I see these games going into 20s because they're divisional games.
In divisional games, you never know. That's the thing. That's the beauty about this too, is you never know with divisional games. And I think the Vikings are another team. They play pretty tough. It's gonna be a fun game to watch. I'm excited for that too, because of the Kevin O'Connell factor. And I like that you just brought up all the quarterbacks that he had, man. It's really ridiculous on what quarterbacks have played for that team, and we're some success with them. You just brought all four of them up, man. Like, there's not many coaches in the league that if you just go back over the last 5 years of doing miracles like that guy has done.
He got Josh Dobbs to get a win right after he got traded from the Cardinals. Like, just think about that. The man only had the playbook in his hands for 2 minutes, fresh off the bus, and you coach him up to win the game. That's next level coaching as far as like how to get the best out of a quarterback to be successful. So you can't really turn your back on a person like that because of the fact that he knows what to do to get the best out of his guys. And that's the one thing that worries me every time, Bears go up against the Vikings. It's like, what is he going to get out of this dude?
I know. I agree. I still think they're going to be a good team this year too. And it's all about JJ McCarthy, man. It's about how recover from that injury. You never know if that can get in your head or not. And we'll just see how it all plays out. And that's going to be a fun game to watch for Week 11. All right, so I got Week 12 circled on my calendar because, Chris, I live at home with a Pittsburgh Steelers, diehard Pittsburgh Steelers girlfriend of mine that's from Pittsburgh, watches every Steelers game. She watches every Bears game with me, and I watch every Steelers game with her. So we're fans of both teams. Obviously, I'm a much bigger Bears fan than Steelers fan. So I'll be cheering for the Bears this game. I'm not trying to say that here, guys, in the chat room, everybody in the chat room. Here's the thing about this game. Now, this is another noon game. This is a home game, November 23rd. I don't know who's playing quarterback for the Steelers at this point. I think it's Mason Rudolph, but I don't know. Or does Aaron Rodgers? Is this his last time that we see Aaron Rodgers? Is he going to end up being with this? I know a lot of people. If you hear a lot of things out of Pittsburgh, a lot of people still believe that it's going to be Aaron Rodgers coming in. And the Steelers is an interesting team to me too because they let some players walk in the offseason, which I think they made the right moves. And I loved their draft. Me and Trax, the creator of everything here on the Chicago Sports Podcast, we're talking about how I thought the Steelers had a really, really good draft this year. I said the Steelers and the Ravens, to me, had great drafts. And they got Howard, the quarterback from Ohio State, in the 6th round. I did not think he was going to be in the 6th round. I saw like 4th or 3rd. Even a couple I saw 3rd round projections. For most part, though, it was 4th round projections. So I don't know, do they stay with Mason Rudolph at that point? Do they go to the young quarterback? I love the running back that the Steelers took in Johnson. I thought that was a really good pick, and I still think their defense is going to be tough. I think the key with them is his injuries, and they get hurt a lot. Highsmith spent some time on the injured list last year. TJ Watt spent time on the injured list. Minka Fitzpatrick, you just don't know at this point. I think he's lost a step too. He's not the same Minka. He's one of my favorite players on that team, but he's not the same Minka Fitzpatrick anymore. I feel like injuries are starting to catch up to him a little bit. So I think this is a game they can win at home. Now it's Mike Tomlin, and you never know, and he can find those ways to win games. But I think this is a game they can win.
Okay, I'm going to say this: don't be surprised if Will Howard is one of the sleeper quarterbacks of this draft, because I watched that college football playoff, and that man played extremely well, especially in that last game versus Notre Dame. He knew when to use his legs, was accurate with his arm. And then on top of that, he fits Pittsburgh so well. And then on top of that, they got Caleb Johnson from Iowa, another guy who fits what they do well. They run the ball. And then on top of that, it helps him out as a quarterback. So my thing is, there's 2 concerns. Can they block Cam Hayward and TJ Watt? If they can hold them down from being game wreckers, I see them. They can run away from this. Run away with this one. I can see it be like a two touchdown lead game. But if they can't, it's going to be one of those games where you're going to be on the edge of your seat because you're looking at how to defend a rookie quarterback, a rookie running back. But I do think I got the Bears winning this one because I don't think Arthur Smith's going to get the best out of those 2 guys. I don't. Even though they're talented, even though they've shown up in clutch moments for their teams, I don't see him getting the best out of them.
That's interesting you bring his name up. He's a very hot topic in Pittsburgh, too. You know, it's funny, you bring up the running back, Johnson. We've done some mock drafts before leading up to the draft. I had him on the Bears' radar, man. When we were starting to talk about running backs in the 3rd and 4th round, I was going back and looking at some of the ones that we were doing, and I'm like, he was on 2 of mine that for the Bears that I was hoping I thought he would be a perfect fit for Ben Johnson's offense. So to your point, I think he's perfect for that team. I just like how big and strong that guy is, man, and the way he runs he's just so freaking. We'll see how it translates to the NFL, man. But the Steelers are also a little bit of a transition too. Their offensive line, I think their offensive line is going to be the strength of their team. That they have a lot of young guys up there that I think if they stay healthy, they can be pretty good. So it'll be a fun game to watch. It's going to be a fun game in our house, and I think we're going to try to go to that game too on the 23rd. I know that's the weekend before Thanksgiving, but we already have that circled on our cap to make the trip to Chicago.
Just be prepared for if she's a little grumpy after that, just be prepared. Like, just get her favorite snacks. You know what I'm saying? get the I'm sorry for the lost balloons and stuff like that. So just prepare. Just prepare. And whatever you do not bet where you sleep on this game.
And I'm gonna have quite a few drinks for that game, so it can help me feel a little bit better, especially if we lose. We're talking about the schedule release here. Thank you guys for watching tonight. I see all in the chat room, Atmos. I see James in there too. Everybody in the chat room tonight. Thank you guys. David's in there as well. Thank you guys for watching. You can like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, our page. Check it out. We have new shows popping up all the time. You get those notifications on your phone. I know mine came across as we were getting ready for this show here tonight. So thank you guys. Really appreciate all your support here. Bears on Tracks, 5 for Chicago. We're making our way through the schedule. That brings us to our next game. It is November 28th at Philadelphia, Black Friday game. Ooh, first off, I hate I don't like Black Friday games. I should get that saying that right off the bat. Stick with it on Thanksgiving Day. You got the 3 games on there, and then just go to Sunday. I hate that, man, because it's going to be an early one too. I think this one's like either a 2 or 1 o'clock game. It's earlier in the day. And just off, and I don't know, man. I don't like it, but this is going to be a very tough spot. I think the Eagles are going to be a good team. They lost some players in the offseason, but they're kind of like the Lions to me. They draft so well. They make the right draft picks all the time. They just plug and play. They keep their main players that they want in place like they normally do. And we'll see what they are this year. We'll see if they can come back and be as good as they were last year. I think the key for them is Jalen Hurts. We'll see how he plays. Saquon Barkley had a ridiculous year last year, and he was pretty much healthy for the entire year. Is that going to happen again? I don't know the answer to that. But, boy, do they have some playmakers on defense, Chris, man, because that defensive line, they'll get after you, man.
I'm really scared about that defensive line and that run game. Just for the simple fact that man, Saquon Barkley is dynamic as a running back already. When you look at last season and the average contact past the line of scrimmage is about 3 yards, that is scary. And then on top of that, they're agile. They're big. They can maul you as an offensive line when it comes to running the ball. Now, the thing about it is they have a new offensive coordinator, so we're gonna see if he calls an offense that gels with those players. But it's still a bit of a matchup nightmare when you have a Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley in the backfield, and then they got AJ Brown, then they got Devontae Smith, then they got Dallas Goedert, and then you look at the defense. The defense has stars all over the place, and a lot of them are young players. You know what I'm saying? So. It's like Jalen Carter being one of them, and he's a game wrecker in his own right. And then they got the defensive tackle from, I believe, Nebraska. It's looking really scary. So I honestly think this is another game that is like a test for where the Bears are at, especially during late in the season. If they prepare to make a playoff run, there's gonna be facing a team that barely has any holes on any level of it, and any level offensive and defensively. So this is another game I'm going to be watching that's going to gauge where the Bears are at offensively and defensively, just as a team in general.
Yeah, I don't feel good about this. I have him as a loss for this one. You bring up a good point about the offensive coordinator, though. I think people underestimate Kellen Moore and what a great offensive coordinator he is. He's been great. I've liked him his entire career, to be honest with you. And I gave him his praise when he went to the Saints because I think he's going to be a pretty good head coach eventually down the road. So we'll see what happens to your point, we'll see what happens with their
I,
offense.
I got Philly taking this one just because of the fact it's hard to stop a
So do
run
I.
game like that. It's real difficult. And they eat up clock when they do it too.
And they got hot at the end of the year last year, and this could be the same thing like this year. They can get hot at this year, and we'll see, man. It's a Black Friday game, Week 14, December 7th at the Packers. The first one against the Packers for a noon kickoff. In a span of a couple of weeks, they put the Packers in a span of a couple of weeks. That's going to be in Green Bay, December 7th. You know it's going to be cold up there. It always is at that time of the year. They played. This is going to be an interesting year for me for the Packers. I don't know what you're going to get from the Packers this year. I think they had a pretty good offseason. I love their draft. They went really hard after receivers in the draft, and rightfully so. I think they really needed to upgrade there. I like the golden pick that they took. I know we talked about this a little bit last week. I liked him coming out of college. I had him in a lot of our mock drafts. I had him going in the first round. So I think that could be a very good target for Love. And a second year with Jacobs in the backfield, we'll see how their offensive line plays. I just don't know what we're going to get from the Packers. So this could be one of those games that I could see them win or I could see them lose. I don't know. But I am just going to say, since it's in Green Bay, I think that's going to be a tough one coming off that Philly game. I don't have a good feel. I think they're going to lose this one. I think they're going to split the year with the Packers. I guess I'm giving you a preview a little bit of what's coming up, but I don't think they win this one in Green Bay.
I think they come back angry and win this one. The only concern about Green Bay is when they have speedsters on the field, it opens up, it stretches the defense vertically, and it stretches the defense vertically, which allows them to have those other receivers just take advantage of the holes that are in zone coverage because you have those safeties back. So it's a bit of a concern, but I honestly think this is maybe. I mean, we've seen Jordan Love last year. He had to struggle with turnovers for a good chunk of the season. And I honestly think the Bears can pull this one out. They just have to get pressure. They were able to get pressure on him and try to stop the run or at least slow down Josh Jacobs to the point where they have to pass more. And we put some points on the board. I think we could take this one because I don't see a Jordan Love comeback coming like last year. I don't see Jordan Love being that guy to where he takes off and he becomes one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. So I think this defense can, if they generate pressure, force him to make a lot more throws than he's more comfortable with. We can get some picks and try to win this game. I see that happening more than anything.
You bring a good point because he threw a lot of interceptions last year, Love. So he likes to throw the ball, but sometimes it's just to the other team. That's what's going to be key playing the Packers both times this year. I think is going to be turnovers, especially on the road in Green Bay in December. It's going to be key to create those turnovers. We'll see how their defense is this year. I think their defense, they didn't get to the quarterback a lot last year. That was a little, for as well as that defense played last year, they didn't really get to the quarterback a lot. So I wonder if they're going to have some improvement there or not. The Packers that I'm talking about, but it's going to be turnovers. It's going to be key, and we'll see what type of Jordan Love we get. Although I think they split. I don't think they win this one. But that's December 7th at Green Bay. Hey, thank you guys tonight for watching here, the Chicago Sports Podcast. Bears on Tracks, 5 for Chicago. You guys like and subscribe. That's our YouTube page. It's free, man. You can just go right there, like and subscribe, and those notifications come up on your phone. You'll have them with you all the time because we have shows coming up all the time as well. And we can't thank you guys enough for all of your support to everybody that's watching the show tonight. So thank you. As we're talking about the Bears, we're ended up the schedule here, Chris.
I'm looking at this Packers game from a view of how I look at the game. But if I'm looking at it from a Bears point of view, I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm just gonna. I see it as a W. It's the Packers. Don't like them. W.
Yeah, let's kick their ass this year. Let's just sweep them this year, man. I'm tired. I'm so sick of that, man. I'm so sick of talking about the Packers and the streaks and Aaron Rodgers. I know Aaron Rodgers isn't there anymore, but I'm just like, all right, it's time. We got a new regime here, man. It's time to change that.
Green and yellow don't even look good together to me.
Let's make them be last place. Yeah, those are ugly colors. Let's have them go last place finally. Week 15, December 14th versus the Cleveland Browns, another noon kickoff. We have a lot of noon kickoffs this year. I guess that's what happens when you have a 5-win team. When you're a 5-win team, you don't get all the primetime games. But I was looking at the Browns schedule. The Browns don't even have a primetime game this year. So the Browns, who only had 3 wins last year, they're going to be bad. I don't think they're going to be very good. I don't even know who's going to play quarterback for them at this point. I don't even know who's going to play quarterback for them to start the year. I don't know if it's going to be Dylan Gabriel. Is it going to be Shedeur Sanders? Is it going to be Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco? One of them is not going to be there by the start of the season. You can't go into the season with 4 quarterbacks. So I would think at this point for the Browns, one of their young quarterbacks would be playing. You'd be stupid not to, especially if you're well out of it and you don't have many wins on your team. I mean, they still have Myles Garrett. They got some players on that team. They still got Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward. I actually thought they had a pretty good draft too. I like the draft. They drafted the linebacker. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but they took a
Schwarzenegger.
linebacker, man. Yes, I'm a big fan of that guy, man. That guy's a good player. I want to see how that guy does this year. I think he could be a very good player. They drafted a couple of running backs, including the kid from Tennessee, Harmon here from Tennessee. I like that pick a lot. So I actually did, outside of the puzzling quarterback picks, I actually thought they had a pretty good draft as well, trying just to rebuild and regroup on that team. But I still don't think they're going to be very good, Chris. I think by this point, they're probably only going to be a 3 or 4 win team. And I think the Bears should definitely take care of business by this point.
Some people probably see where I'm going to go with this. I see Joe Flacco starting the beginning of the year, and if that doesn't go well, I see them going to Shedeur Sanders. When you see how they're built and how Kevin Stefanski offense, when it's ran smoothly, it's usually when you have 2 running backs that can run like a Quinshon Judkins and Samson can run. Those 2 guys, they were able to carry the load. Judkins was more when he was in Ole Miss. Samson, when he was at Tennessee, he was the leading rusher for the SEC, so that plays a big role in that. And then on top of that, their defense, they have the roster on that side of the ball where they can make it a tough time for an offense. So they drafted Mason Graham. You have a guy that can make it difficult to run the ball based off of his college film, and he can rush the passer. And then you got a Myles Garrett. Like those type of things can be a recipe for disaster if you let those guys let those guys let loose and pin their ears back. So I see us winning this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns stun this league and end up being like a 7-8 win team, just because of how they're built. If Joe Flacco or Shedeur or even Dylan Gabriel, they show out and just protect the ball and they run the ball well, they can beat they could beat a couple teams in their schedule. But I don't have them beating the Bears in this one.
I like the play. I do like both of the running backs they took too, man. I think both of them they can be very good players too and help out. Very good coaches on this team too. I like Kevin Stefanski. I think he's a very good offensive-minded coach. And don't forget Jim Schwartz is their defensive coordinator. He's a very good defensive coordinator. And you could tell those are the players. You could tell they were all going into that draft and talking, because those are the type of players on defense. You just brought up who they took. Chris, those are the type of guys that they were looking for on that defense.
Jim Schwartz knows how to get the best out of his edge rushers. So that's the pivotal matchup. He knows how to move his guys around. He knows how to get guys like that to just hit the quarterback and be able to stop the run whenever they need to. So when it comes to that front line, he knows how to organize that front line to create havoc for an offense. So that's the only thing I'm worried about right now. I mean, Denzel Ward is one of those guys, but I believe we have a lot of guys to spread the ball to. It's just, can we protect Caleb Williams and get the ball out of there and run the ball for at least about 3-4 yards per carry. If we can do that, I see that as a win.
I do too. I think that's a win as well. We have a couple of games left here, Chris. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you again for watching tonight. Bears on Tracks. It is brought to you by the Chicago Sports Podcast, 5 for Chicago. Week 16, December 20th, a Saturday game. This is one of our primetime games. It's either going to be a 3:30 or 6 o'clock Central Time kick against the Packers. Again, that span against the Packers. Now the Packers come to Chicago, but this is where I think the Bears beat the Packers. I think they go 1-1 against the Packers this year. I don't think the Packers dominate anymore, but I think this is a game they can win at home. And I think the development, I think by this point, the development of Caleb Williams and the Ben Johnson offense will be on fire. I really do. I think by this point that it's going to be by the end of the year.
I got them going 2-0 against the Packers.
Yeah, I know, man. That's what I love. I love the energy.
Yes.
Damn right, man. Yeah, you got me all riled up now.
I want the brooms.
Yeah, we just went into detail about the Packers, kind of what we're expected this year, but I just think they beat them at home. We got 2 games left here.
I just think on the defensive side, I didn't mention it for the first time. I think it depends on Rashawn Gary and Jair Alexander. Those guys, they seem to be nicked up every year, at least for one time or another throughout the year. It's rare that they're healthy throughout a whole season. And and Penny Clark as well. But it's those things are the concerns on the defensive side of the ball. But I don't see them as being as efficient as they need to be. I feel when you look back at last year, they had somewhat of a weak schedule, except for the teams they played. When they played some playoff caliber teams, they lost those games. But this year, I think it's gonna be different for them. I think we're gonna see who they really are this year. So I honestly have the Bears winning it just because of the simple fact that this is a better Bears team. And even though the Packers have improved, they've gotten better at the receiver spot. I have to. I'm not have to. I'm just gonna believe they're gonna pull it off because when you look at Ben Johnson and how he's done against that defense, so I'm gonna have faith in the coaching staff on this one.
Me too. Me too. I'm with you, Chris. So we got both of us, Packers, Vin. 2 games left here. December 28th at San Francisco, Sunday night football game. 2 back-to-back primetime games with the new rich Brock Purdy, who got extended earlier today. So he got his contract, man. He's making a whole lot more money. So there's no more questions about that team. Brock Purdy's the quarterback of the future, at least for the next couple of years. The 49ers are also in a transition. They had some cap issues. They had to let some players go in the offseason. They had to rebuild a little bit. You know what I do like, though, is Robert Saleh was not a very good head coach, but a good defensive coordinator, and him and Shanahan had a very good rapport with each other, very good relationship. I actually like that they brought him back there to be the defensive coordinator. I think that's something to watch this year. They got a lot of young pieces on that defense for the 49ers. How is Brock Purdy going to be playing at this point? Is McCaffrey going to be healthy at this point? How are they going to be without Samuel? And George Kittle also got money too. George Kittle has also been re-signed by them. But is George Kittle going to be healthy? Whenever I talk about the 49ers, it's always to me the question about health. And are these guys still going to be healthy? I still think they're going to be a good team. When you got a coach like Shanahan, they're always going to be a competitive team. I just don't know what type of team they're going to have this year.
I think they're gonna be running the ball a bit more this year, and I feel like if we can I feel like they're gonna be running the ball a bit more because of the fact that they're younger on the outside, and then on top of that, going to be having a receiver come back from an ACL injury. So that defense is going to be a concern because Robert Saleh, as a defensive coordinator, I don't know how it is, and then you mix him with a Fred Warner in that pass rush. It doesn't bode well for a lot of offenses. He gets that defense going, so I do see that. I think we can win this one. I really do think we can win this one, and I think it's going to be because of the lack of efficiency on the offensive side of the ball because they're young on the outside. They would the defense have to focus more on George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey if he's healthy, and I honestly think that's going to be the keys to winning that game. But I do see the Bears winning that one.
For some reason, we never play very well at San Francisco. So it's an interesting place. Brandon Ayuk's the one you're talking about. He's
Yeah.
coming back from a major injury. I'm interested to see how he is this year because he was a legit, really good receiver. Was almost traded, then they give him the money, and he got hurt right away in the beginning of the year last year. So I think they can go in there and win too. I agree with you on that. And then week 18, the final week of the season, it's home against the Lions. I'm going to say this about week 18. I think it's a garbage week of the season because half of the teams are not playing their starter. By this point, I think with the extra week, to me, that I've recognized with the extra week, week 18, is a lot of teams have wrapped a lot of stuff up already. So I don't know if this is going to be for the division. There's either two things that can happen here. This is going to be for the division. This is going to be for the Bears fighting for the playoffs, or the Lions will have everything wrapped up at this point and they're not even playing their starters.
I think I see this more for the division. I honestly did. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being for the division, a three-way tie between the Lions, Vikings, and Bears. To be honest with you, just because of the simple fact when you look, you can't just deny the fact that the Lions roster and their head coach. I don't know why the name is escaping me right now, but
Dan
yes,
Campbell?
Dan Campbell. But anyway, but Dan Campbell always seems to have his guys ready, and no matter what, they're gonna play you tough. And then they have their guys. If they're able to come away without getting hit with the injury bug in key places, it's like they did last year on the defensive side of the ball. I honestly think that this game's gonna be a tough one. This game's gonna be a tough one. I feel like there's gonna be something important on the line when dealing with the postseason. So I feel like this is going to be a close one. I'm probably not going to be able to call it because of the fact that they're going to smooth. I feel like Dan Campbell's going to smooth everything out defensively. He's going to smooth everything out offensively, and they're going to be a well-oiled machine by this time in the year.
I do too. I do too. I think it could be a tough game. I have them split with the Lions this year, so I'm going to say a win for this one, but I have them losing the first one, so I think it's also a split. And that's week 18. So here, I'm going to pull the schedule back up for everybody to kind of to show everybody what we were talking about here for the 2025 Bears schedule. And going over game by game, and I'm just kind of the way we described everything here, Chris. I'm tallying up my wins. Now, first off, I got to warn you guys, I am terrible at math, so it might take me a second here to count. I literally count on my hand. You'll see me here like counting on my hands, trying to figure out what I had in place here. So, as of right now, as I look at the schedule, and you guys could put together what you think too, what the Bears are going to be. But as of right now, I have them. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Boy, I have them as a 10-win team.
Right now, I believe I got them at 11 wins. I believe they.
I got them at 10. Yeah, it's going through everything. Just double checking my math here, but I have them as a 10. I have them as a 10-win team. I originally said they maybe. I was hoping when we did these shows a couple weeks ago about an 8 or 9-win team, but after going through the schedule and explaining everything, Chris, I got them at 10 wins.
I got them at 11, and that's only because I feel like they're gonna drop that. I feel like they may drop that game against the Raiders, they're gonna split with the Lions. But this could easily be I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being like a 9 to 12 win season. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think you could give or take anywhere in between there. I would definitely be surprised if it was like last year. If we're talking about a 5 to 7 win team, if we're a 5 to 7 win team, that's a major disappointment to me for everything that they're doing right now. And I think that would be taking a step back. So I think to your point, Chris, between 9 and 11, 9 and 12, I think that's realistic expectations. What we can expect here from the Bears this year.
Oh, definitely.
And let's keep our fingers crossed.
I feel like it depends on how they get out of the gate in those first 4 games. If they're able to if they're able to come out 3-1, I feel like the sky's the limit. If they come out probably 2-2, we're teetering with it to see where we're at. That's more like a 9. I would say an 8-9. I'll say a 9-10 win season. But it depends on how they start. They gotta lock in right from game 1 in order to get that type of result. That's what I feel.
I think those are 3 very tough games to start the year too. 2 games to get your division and the Cowboys. Think of whatever you want to think of the Cowboys. When you have anytime you have a healthy Dak Prescott coming back, you never know what that guy can do. So, especially with an offensive-minded head coach right now, that's going to be in
with the CeeDee Lamb and now George Pickens.
On each side of the ball. So that's what I'm saying. Those first 3 games are going to be, to your point, Chris, are going to be key. And we're going to have a lot of time to break that down too, Chris. And we want to thank everybody watching tonight. We have a lot of people watching, man, and we cannot say thank you enough for that. Thank you guys to everybody in the chat room. We appreciate all the support of the show. You guys can watch the show for free. That's what's awesome about this is you can watch it for free. You can like and subscribe on our YouTube page, our YouTube channel right there. And the notifications will come up all across your phone. And tell your friends about that because we have so many shows that we run here throughout the week. Bears on Tracks, which is brought to you by Chicago Sports Podcast 5 for Chicago. And Chris, it's everybody in here that makes everything possible, man. We can't say thanks enough.
Yeah. Thank you guys for just tuning in with us. You know what I'm saying? We love talking football. We love, you guys coming in and giving your input. You know what I'm saying? Show much love. Like, subscribe, tell your homie, tell your neighbor, tell your best friend, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Let's get this Bears community locked in so we can all talk Bears sports together.
Yeah, man, we're all fans, man. We're all fans and diehard fans of the Bears, man. So yeah, to Chris's point, man, share this video with all of your Bears friends, and we have more shows coming. So we'll keep you updated of everything going on. And Chris, thanks for everything tonight, man. We'll do this again next Friday.
Likewise, brother. Likewise. I always love to do this every Friday. You know what I'm saying? This is where I'm at every Friday. Love it.
Dude. We love it, brother. We love it.
Wouldn't want to be anywhere different.
So I agree, man. So good seeing you as always, and thanks to everybody again. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. For Chris Light James Brown, I'm Matt Cooper. It is Bears on Tracks.